Glad to be here. So, funnily enough, I'm not a marketer. I'm a journalist, but I think what connects us all is we're all in the communication business. So what I'm going to talk about today is just the good. Yeah, sorry. Oops. Yeah. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to try to share, what's and all the mistakes I've made. I'm going to try and instead of doing a live demo, do an actual production run. So stakes are high. Let's see how it goes. So for those of you who are not familiar with Tech in Asia, this is what we are. We are a media publication covering the tech industry for the tech industry. Here's an article of one of our journalists using an AI companion app. Anyone using it? No? Yeah, probably a secret. Yeah, for a lot of us. So, yeah, so this is what we do. A bit about me. So I'm a journalist and editor for about 14 years. I'm pretty much the in-house automation evangelist. Started out with Zapier. I think it's a great tool to start with. And then these days, I'm vibe coding on the weekend. I don't have an app to show yet, but maybe next time. Resident NAN spammer. So this is one of the NAN workflows that we have, basically monitoring the news every 2 minutes. And yeah, so very much production ready. So I'm going to talk about our newsletter. So as any media publication does, we send out newsletters on a daily basis. And yeah, one day something happened. So, we got angry calls from our clients, like, why is this, event promotion wrong? And basically what happened was that our contractor kind of messed things up, and our newsletter production process was very manual. Basically, one person sitting there day after day, shifting pixels, copy and pasting. Not the most fun job in the world. And to be honest, if I'm him, I might make some mistakes. But then the mistakes kept coming, right? And it reached a breaking point for me when one day the newsletter sent out with a completely wrong introduction. So an intro text from the day before. So that got me really upset, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down, figure out NAN. I spend weekends, evenings just to do this. So basically what I did was I semi-automated our newsletter production process. You still need someone to sit at the table, at the desk to do it. But basically we cut what took 4 hours to an hour. Since we launched this, no serious errors, no angry clients, thankfully. And it's adaptable, meaning to say, should we change something in the newsletter? The process works, right? There's no hard-coded, there's some hard-coded logic, but it works. There's some flexibility to it as well. So you can see here basically 3 workflows, one of which I'll demo later. And yeah. So as I mentioned, I'm going to try to do something a little bit more high stakes than a demo. I'm actually at work now, getting my newsletter ready for tomorrow. So what you see today is literally going to show up tomorrow. Okay, so this is basically, I kind of set this up already, and it's going to run. So this is a Google form, a newsletter generator. Basically, what I do is that I will paste the content of the newsletter into this form. As you can see, it's already done. I basically force my colleagues to get this ready for me. Then, the date of the newsletter, the images, newsletter types. So I'm gonna click next. Okay, something's wrong. What happened?
The date.
Oh, it's the wrong date. Great. Okay. Oops. 26. think this is correct. Okay, next. So a checklist, just to make sure that the contractor doesn't fall asleep. Next. Okay. Okay, so this is done. So it should show up. So this is the NAN workflow that I've created for the newsletter process. Is it running? Okay, not yet. Okay, thank goodness. So it's basically started. It'll take some time to run, maybe about 7 minutes. So let me just run through this quickly. So it detects a new entry in the Google spreadsheet, and it triggers a whole series of steps. So it detects the kind of newsletter, it retrieves the respective code block, compiles them. There's some stuff here going on. It turns the markdown to HTML. So this is the AI magic. Basically, what I do here is that based on the content, I basically match it to the right code block. There's a bunch of rules here. Basically, you can see what went wrong with the AI previously because of a new rule. So it was stripping out HTML, for example, so I asked it not to do so. Yeah, and then the second AI magic is here, basically creating the actual code for the newsletter. So you can see, this is the output on the right. What I do here is that I give it some Slack updates. So you can see that this is actually what was triggered. So it's integrated into Slack. It gives the user an update on how the process is going. Yeah, you can see my colleagues telling me, how pressurizing a demo is. Okay, so is it running? Okay, let's see now. Okay, so it'll take some time. Let me go back. So just some learnings from using NAN. I find Zapier actually a great start if you're non-technical. You can do a lot with it. And the only problem with Zapier is that it's really expensive at scale. So I think once you've mastered Zapier, you can progress on to NAN, which is what I did. I find myself struggling to use NAN without ChatGPT. So I have like one window with ChatGPT, another window with NAN. And basically, if I'm stuck, I'll just export the NAN workflow as a JSON file into ChatGPT and just prompt ChatGPT for solutions. One thing I'll tell you is that NAN is moving very quickly, so there's a lot of outdated knowledge within the LLM. So I'll always ask ChatGPT to look up the latest online documentation, and that works almost like magic. The other thing I learned is that you can see here that there's only 2 steps, right, that uses AI. Everything else is code. Is deterministic. So I think echoing what Delbert said just now, most of the time, code works just fine. You don't need fancy AI. This is an example of something that you don't need AI to fix. Basically, it's deterministic. You can basically have a rule that kind of fixes this error. So just a good example of deterministic versus probabilistic. I think, so I'm going to pull back a little bit and talk about more meta areas and how I think about, and how Tech in Asia thinks about implementing AI. So I think the problem here is that, using productivity, increasing productivity from AI might just mean that we're just having more free time to, walk our dogs, to have lunch. It may not actually improve productivity or revenue, right, within the company. So I think that's something important to bear in mind. So I'll just showcase some other things that we do with AI at Tech in Asia. So this is an actual product that's live on the website. It's called News by AI. Basically, I would say 99% of the articles published at Tech in Asia has some AI. And basically, what we do is that we write the news using AI, and we analyze it with AI. But at the last step, we get a human editor to go in and take a look and edit. So how we kind of justify the returns, right, on AI, right? That's always a big question, Does it boost revenue, right? Or is it just a tool to slack off? So we did a calculation. It costs us maybe about $2.50 now to produce each of these articles, and that's mostly labor cost. The cost of AI is negligible. But to do this automatically, manually, it would cost like $73, right, to do the analysis, to write the news. So if you need to justify AI to upper management, this is how. So you can see that the views from News by AI from 0 in July up to peaked at about almost 1 million. And then it fell. That's because we decided to cut back a little bit and focus on quality. So this is another product that's new. So basically what we do is that we turn videos and podcasts into summaries. This was a recent article. Basically, we turned an audio recording of a talk into a summary article. One funny thing here is that we launched a new prompt to do the summary, and it completely hallucinated every single quote. I'm not going to say if we published the article. Maybe we did. No one. We weren't. Well, yeah, it's almost a confession right now, right? So, well, luckily, we were able to react quickly. So the thing is, AI is this really smart friend that you have that's just incredibly forgetful, right? So we kind of gave the prompt that, hey, you are a journalist, and journalists, you're not supposed to invent quotes, but it did so anyway. And the funny thing is, when I read the article, I actually thought, wow, this person really said it, because the hallucination was really convincing. 100%, we couldn't tell. But when we actually checked the quote against the original transcript, yeah, it's all made up. But yeah, it totally sounded like it came from the person. Anyway, so the lesson here basically is that AI can be very unpredictable. You have to be very explicit. So how we fixed this was that we gave it explicit instructions to do not invent quotes, right? Which is, yeah, something that we don't remind our journalists of because they know, but in this case, you have to be explicit about it. And that kind of solved the issue. So, yeah, so I think, bear in mind that, AI can be unpredictable. Every time with every new version of a prompt, especially if it's for production, you have to check. And that's why, human in the loop is really important. Okay, so where are we now? Is it done? Okay, 8 minutes. Uh-oh, something's wrong. Oh, it's done. Yeah, so as you can see here, some user experience, prompts just to make sure that the user know what's up. So this is the file that's generated. Yeah, very messy. So let's download this. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So this is some conditional statements. It will appear for some subscribers, but not others. Yeah, so this is actually what you see tomorrow morning. Great. Yep. Everything's working, so let's check the links. Spotlight, okay. Yeah. Ooh, AirWallex. Yeah. So you can imagine what the previous contractor, we no longer use him, did was that he had to manually copy and paste this element, the in focus element, this element, the pictures. You can see how tedious this is, right? And yeah, super tedious. And so this can be done in 10-15 minutes. Yep, so perfect demo. Okay. Wait. Okay, I can relax. Okay, so some more learnings from our experience with AI. So when we started with AI, I don't know, maybe a year ago. Should I talk bad about my boss? No. But yeah, we basically felt like we could, journalists are replaceable. We don't need journalists to do this. Let's just create a news by AI product without journalists involved. Didn't quite work because if you're creating a product, you need the expert there, right? If you're creating a news product, you want the journalist there. If you're creating a marketing product, you want a marketing person there. If you're generating a photo of the Singapore skyline with Midjourney, you probably want a Singaporean looking at the skyline just to check. So stage one, no experts involved, just vibes. Didn't quite work because turns out everything's easier than it looks until you jump in and you realize that, there's an art and science to this. Stage two was basically we get the journalist in. The journalist does the prompt evaluation, we call it Pepe in Tech in Asia. Is this cycle of iteration and evaluation. The engineers code, right? So they take the prompt, put it in production. The problem with that though was that the feedback loop is really slow. Right? It can take weeks just to create a new version of the prompt and test it and deploy it. So at stage 3 now, basically, this is something we are in progress of implementing. Is that engineers, they get bored, right? They want to move on to the next great thing. So what they do is that they put the development workflow on NAN, and this allows non-technical people like me to jump in and edit the prompt directly. So I think NAN isn't just a tool, but okay, I'm sounding like an AI, right? It's not just a tool, but it's a way for you to see what's in production and for non-technical people to be directly involved in development and production of AI products and AI workflows. So it's a bit of a mindset shift, if you ask me. I think it's this debate, do you always need humans involved? Maybe not. So the thing is that if there's a human in the loop, humans get bored, right? And what we've found out is that, for example, with news by AI, that the AI has done so much work that the human, even though they're involved, they feel a bit redundant, right? Because it looks great. Maybe for 9 articles it's fine, but for that one article there's a slip up and there's an error in the article. So I think if you're engineering a process with the human in the loop, you want it to have a creative element, right? You want the person to feel engaged, and I think that's really important. So to be honest, the whole newsletter thing is kind of boring for a person to work on. What kind of mitigates this is this checklist that you've seen in the form, basically like reminding the person, the operator, to check off things, right? To make sure that certain things are done. Doesn't always help, but it's good enough. So some tips here. So I think where the human involvement works the best is when there's actual creativity involved, where there's taste. I think Delbert has great taste in design and fashion. So I think you want that person, for example, to be really involved in the creative process. Yeah, this is a great example of Instagram post we put out. Got 2,000 over likes, which is great for us. And yeah, you need someone to kind of design the copy, and make sure that the person is really engaged, right? Because otherwise, they will just be on autopilot, and you might as well not have the human in the loop. So I came up with this last night. I don't know if it makes sense, but this is kind of a framework for when to have humans involved and when not to. So on the x-axis, it's the level of complexity. On the left, what I mean by the least complexity is if there's an obviously right answer. If 1 + 1 is 2. If there are very few rules involved, like a simple if-else conditional. On the right is as complex a task as you can get. Humor, right? Like I don't know if, has anyone made AI tell great jokes? No, I to be honest, I haven't tried that hard, but just hasn't been great, right? Or art, right? How do you define what great art is? You can somewhat define what great design is, but art maybe not. Complexity could also be defined in terms of having many rules. So you can probably define what a great article is. Right? There are some characteristics of a great article, an engaging hook in the first 3 seconds, maybe. But how do you define what the next Harry Potter is, right? There's so many subjective elements to that. What makes a novel a hit, right? Very hard to tell. And I also define complexity in terms of the human cost of error. So, you don't want AI to have nuclear launch codes, obviously, and that's an extreme example. If a mistake costs you like $10,000, probably don't want AI involved in that too much, or at least have human in the loop at the end. So that's how I define complexity. In terms of atomicity, basically, is the work digital or is it physical, right? So, we can go from data structures, text, to multimedia, up to the physical world, where you have human-to-human interaction, you have new knowledge. So an AI, for example, ChatGPT cannot tell you what's the next M&A deal that's coming out, right? Like which startup is buying which startup. Only investment bankers know, right? You can't Google that. So I think in areas of high atomicity and complexity, that's where humans thrive, right? So you want as much as possible to have humans involved in that. And AI can't really help. So to give you an example, at Tech in Asia, we are coming up with a micro drama on Instagram. It's not out yet. So we're going to tell fictional stories of founders and investors, based on real stories which we can't report about. So it's our way of avoiding getting sued. So basically, the script process is entirely human. It's just like a bunch of us brainstorming and having laughs about the script, how to make it funny. I don't see AI helping there, but we're using AI with the production of assets, right? Like generating the assets. We're using 11 labs for the voice generation. So that's like kind of a hybrid human AI approach. But something that's purely human maybe would be we're getting this content creator to create like a Jon Stewart of Asian Tech News. Very smart guy, and yeah, I'd rather just have him write the script without AI. So just to kind of flesh this out a little bit more. In terms of things that require pure code, that the question that you will ask is, will the app launch? You don't need AI. You basically just upload the app onto the cloud. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Where AI can help is to answer the question of, is the code elegant? I think, I've being a vibe coder, I've definitely asked AI to refactor the code and is able to give me really good suggestions. Where I think AI might start to struggle and where humans might be good at is answering the question of, is the user experience great? So I think an AI can give advice on pixels, placement, or it can come up with some simple UI that looks pleasing. But it's until you do an actual user interview and an actual user test and get them to interact with the app that you only understand, whether this is good UX. So, human-to-human interaction. And the last question that I don't think AI has cracked, will the app succeed? So, again, right, what makes the next Harry Potter the next Harry Potter? I think even humans can't answer that question, to be honest. So that's the end of my talk. Hope you enjoyed it. Open to questions.
Hi, my name is Janice. I was just wondering, what you presented, it seems that there needs to be, let's say the workflow, all this needs to change. You need to get buy-in from your company to invest in AI tools and the team to adopt new processes and all that. So maybe can you walk us through how do you get the buy-in from all your stakeholders? Because it's going to disrupt workflows. There's new investment, not just in terms of the subscription, but people learning to use the AI tool and all this.
Great question. So, are you working in a large or small company, or what's the size?
I'm doing fractional work now,
Okay.
but I used to work in tech companies and FMCGs.
Yeah. So tech industry is about 100 people, so not very large, and I think it starts with the top. So my boss was like, let's jump into AI. So having a boss who is very, I guess, pro AI helps. But I think within the team, so one tool that we have is what we call the AI editor. So basically what this does is that it does copy editing, it generates headlines. So I'll just demo this real quick. So the struggle I have initially is what is the low-hanging fruit that I can tackle, right? So you don't want to be too ambitious and you want to start with something that will immediately benefit the users. So what we started with was this headline generator that basically helps with headlines. And I think the learning there is you want to start small. So you want to treat your users like the actual customers that you serve and make sure that they can see the benefits. And then you slowly get the buy-in that way. I think it helps to have like a sponsor at the top who can sort of like bringing the product the product manager, the engineer, the subject matter expert to come together. So that's top down, and bottom up is that you start with something small internally that get them to see the benefits of AI. And yeah, so this is the headline generator. It's one of the most useful tools we have. Yeah.
Thank you.
There's a question.
Hi, thank you, Terence. Great demo. Leo here. So I've been very curious about, you've been mentioning that AI is actually involved in the editorial process, right? So the very, very basic thing I think like all the marketers will face is that when they're generating things like paragraphs and all that, somehow almost all the time it's AI-ish. So I'm just wondering with the how you do the evos, and then how is that really prompt fixable? So from the reader's feedback, it's actually not from AI. ish, right? So like how do you guys do it, and what is the development process of incorporating that, and then like how human in the loop in the editorial process after you actually have all these workflow.
Yeah. That's great. I think the simple answer to that is you tell the AI not to write in a AI-ish manner.
Does that just work? That prompt does work?
I think it helps a little bit. Let me see if I can actually find a I have an example. Let me try to find it. Okay, news by AI news. Yeah, so basically we face this issue because we did realize that content written entirely with AI is very AI-ish. Yeah, with so many workflows, I can't even find it. Am I? I'll try to remember the prompt. Yeah, I think I can follow up with that, but I think in short, we do prompt the AI not to write in an AI-ish manner. We do give specific examples of that. So like, okay, I think I know which one to show you. Personal. Okay, so yeah, very specific rules. Do not use colon based sentences. Do not use "it's not about X but about Y" sentences. Yeah. So I think you can see here that it's pretty darn specific. This is a very long prompt. Yeah, so some of it is not really about how to avoid writing in an AI way. Some of it is like tech in Asia, journalistic conventions, define jargon, avoid explain unfamiliar concepts. But yeah, I think this directly answers your question. So we just tell the AI what not to do, basically.
One more question.
Yeah, hi Terence. My name's Ivan. I just wanted to ask, how do you scale kind of this editorial governance or editorial content rules across all your writing styles within the GPT? Thanks.
Yeah, so I think nothing fancy for us yet. So basically it's all encoded within the prompt. As you can see, the rules are all there. But yeah, what I can imagine is that eventually, we could have these rules stored somewhere. We can then retrieve it and inject it into any prompt that we have. So yeah, nothing really fancy. I think it's just having those rules encoded, and then you can retrieve them whenever you need. There's also fact-checking. So one thing we're doing is that we have an explicit fact-checking prompt before we, during the editing process. So basically, you want to have what we call system prompts that you can use whenever needed and pull into the workflow whenever needed. Yeah, so basically have the rules stored somewhere ready to be used whenever.